We're back.
You're full of energy this evening, aren't you?
I am.
You're just.
I'm always full of energy.
You're very sprightly.
I'm not feeling very sprightly, but I don't know. This kind of thing kind of energizes me.
Yeah.
You know, contact with people, even though we don't really have contact with people, but
The imaginary contact with
the
people.
imaginary contact with people always energizes me.
See, it's all in your mind.
Yeah.
It's all in your
It's
mind.
good for me.
Everything begins in the
I like
mind.
it. I like it.
The battle is in your mind.
Yes.
It's from a speech. Which
What
speech? Can't remember. One of the motivational speeches that I listened to. This is a preacher guy, and he's like shouting out to his congregation, "There's more people in here having problems in their mind than having problems in their finances." And
Of
everyone
course.
goes, "Yeah."
I don't know anybody who doesn't have problems in their mind. I think everybody who has...
You must have a great group of friends.
No, everybody who has a mind has some problems in it. Right?
Yeah.
Usually.
Never mind. Never
So
mind.
how are you today, my darling? What's new?
I had a good half an hour out spinning around on my wheel. Check out the YouTube channel. Check out In Motion Project. It's my project for motion. It's people stare at me as I fly by on my wheel, on my one wheel, and they seem
like
extremely
that bear
puzzled.
on the unicycle.
It does feel a bit like that. If I was a bit fatter and had lots of hair,
Like you used to.
like I used to be. I only fell off once today.
You fell off.
Well, you don't fall off, you jump off, and the wheel spins wildly out of control and runs off.
Right.
There was a curb that I didn't see. I went off road, and up a couple of hills, and the houses here. I told you earlier, the houses here are so big. All these little paths that I found that you don't take when you're walking, because when you're walking, you're to the shop and then home.
Yes.
Right?
Mostly.
But
Mostly. Or to the play park and home.
Yeah, and this is kind of adventure, because you're like, okay, let's see where I can go. Let's see where this goes. And you find all these little roads that lead to these big houses, and you are, wow, I wonder what these people do for a living.
I should do that sometime.
What, take the wheel out?
No. Just go out without actually going anywhere.
Electric unicycles are cool. Check them out. Oh, there's stuff all over the internet. Check them out. People do amazing stuff, and if you can bear the week of learning how to stand on it without falling off, then you can achieve amazing things. There you go. Learning new stuff.
If you can bear it.
If you can bear it, like a bear.
A lot of talk about bears today.
But bearing things. You said you almost fell over today. What happened?
I don't know. I'm just all over the place today. I think, guys.
You're all over the place.
I don't know. It started.
Like,
started when I exercised.
I don't know.
It started when I exercised this morning, right? And I think I've overdone it a little bit. And then I sat on my backside for the rest of the day, basically, because I have to work now. I'm trying to meet a deadline, which I'm probably not going to meet anyhow. So
that's good to know.
I was doing that.
Good to know. Good to know.
Yes. So I was doing that, and then I got up and we went shopping.
Wait. You did exercise and then you got up?
No, I did exercise and then I sat down to work. To do
the
then
you sat down and then you got up. Right.
And I cooked the lunch in between and all that jazz. And taught the kids and so on.
I noticed.
And
what were the kids doing today? What were the kids learning today? What were they homeschooling? Will was homeschooling his vowels.
Will was, yes, he was learning vowels and consonants. Okay. And we didn't get to do math today.
How many vowels in the English language?
5.5.
You're too smart. You're too smart for your own
I studied it. I had a B from phonetics. And I only had a B because of something stupid. I should have had an A.
A?
A.
B.
Anybody who can understand Scottish accent deserves A++.
Do you think you can understand Scottish people?
Well, I understood.
You haven't been in those little fishing villages for long periods of time.
I understood Davy. I understood Davy, the boiler.
The boiler man. The boiler man. The man who can fix anything and gets fatter every time you see him.
The man who sounds like he's talking Swedish. Yes.
There are a lot of Scottish people who
sound Swedish.
Sound Swedish.
Yes, he totally sounded Swedish.
I read an interesting statistic about Scotland today. That around 1800, outside of the United States, the most literate country in the Northern Hemisphere was believed to be Scotland. Isn't that quite amazing?
That's unbelievable.
I know.
Literally.
The trouble is nobody's quite sure what people were saying or writing because nobody could understand them.
So everybody assumed that they were saying something intelligent.
You mean assume?
Anyway, so then Will asked me about chemicals.
Which you do?
Yes, he just asks random questions. So we
about
started
chemicals.
So we started to talk about.
He got that question right today at lunchtime.
Yes, he did, about Paris and Helena.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
Anyway,
you know what we're talking about. You can write in the chat if you know what the link is between Paris and Helena. You can just write a word.
So he asked me about chemicals, so we got to talk about how everything is made out of chemicals.
Oh, by the way,
right?
welcome to Practical Parenting. I forgot to do an introduction. Welcome to
you don't need an introduction. Everybody knows us.
Welcome to Practical Parenting. It's us.
Yes. And we're talking about homeschooling our kids right now. And so we ended up watching a video about chemical elements and molecules.
That was what I did the live video earlier today.
Did you?
You guys were on the couch focusing on the video. I made a 30-second
we watched
live video.
2 videos. Very cool. One guy was explaining molecules of Play-Doh. You know, he had little balls of Play-Doh and different colors, and he was like, okay, these are atoms. And he showed how the atoms stick to the molecule, to the other atoms to form molecules. So he had like a blue ball and 2 red balls, and it was like a H2O, right? And he did H2O, and he did hydrogen peroxide, and he did carbon dioxide. It was cool. It's very cool. And then he went on explaining.
Did he get to the bit about how they're all space inside and no one can explain that?
We got to that in the second video when. But he didn't find that weird at all. He didn't ask about that. You know.
Well, of course he did.
We watched a video that explained the protons and the neutrons and the electrons just kind of floating around, right, like orbiting. But he didn't ask any questions about it. I guess he just imagined it like a planet and a moon or something, and just didn't even go in there. Maybe it didn't click. Maybe it'll still click.
I probably need to go back and look at all that stuff myself as well, because I mean, as adults you forget stuff, right? And
you know what's really annoying? Like super annoying.
When you miss a bus.
Yes, but also when you watch a great YouTube video about this that explains it so clearly that even everybody, even him would understand it.
The one.
And I have spent my entire time at high school not understanding any of it. I didn't get anything. I mean, I was like completely useless, right? When it comes to chemistry.
It's not really the information that you don't understand. It's the explanation.
Exactly.
That you don't understand.
Because it was all words. It was all words and definitions.
It's the person presenting it. It's the person presenting it.
Yes. And then I watched one video aimed at children, right? And suddenly I get something that I should have gotten when I was at high school, right? And I didn't get the basics. And if you don't get the basics, then you've got 6 years of chemistry ahead, and you have absolutely no chance to catch up with anything because you're just like, what?
No child left behind.
So And this annoys me extremely, that there's so many possibilities, and I didn't know about these possibilities. Maybe they didn't exist for me back then.
I was working today with
because I didn't speak English that much. Still.
A teacher from the local university,
Yeah.
and we were doing the Skype session, and so she was in the university trying to get a Wi-Fi signal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And their education department has one router in one place, and then all the offices. So people who have offices further away from the router
don't get a Wi-Fi.
Can't get a signal. And they're supposed to work in that kind of environment.
That's bad.
It's beyond bad.
That's bad.
I mean, I know when I could set up something better that it's bad, because I don't really have any training in doing stuff like that. That's really crazy. How are they supposed to work
my mom,
in that kind of environment?
My mom used to teach in this school, and she has like absolutely no technical education, right? She's much worse than you in technical stuff.
You never learn more than when you become a teacher.
She became a technician for her school because all the other teachers knew even less than her, right? She knew the most, and she knew almost nothing, right? So she had to educate herself so that she can take care of the computers, which were entrusted, right, to her. And so she was basically responsible for the networks and everything.
But they didn't pay her for that, did they?
I have no idea.
I imagine they didn't pay her for that.
I never asked her, but she did well. Everything worked. It took hours of her time, to get everything to work, but wow.
Well, teachers always end up doing things that are not actually their job. Like I was reading last week that a lot of teachers have to feed their students because the students come to class hungry and don't have any, haven't been given any food, and they can't focus because they're hungry. So teachers have to keep reserves of food in the classroom for their students to keep them focused. Yeah.
And is that like in some poor neighborhoods, or like generally, or?
Well, it would be both of those, wouldn't it? Well, obviously, it's probably not going to be in some rich boarding school, whatever. But I imagine in your average state school, yes. And I can attest to having experienced that, because I've had exactly the same problem with younger students coming and not being able to focus in my sessions because they're hungry. So I would buy food in advance and have it there in the office, and if I could see their attention starting to go, I'd stop the session and give them some food.
My mom would complain about that because she, as a primary, I know.
Can you turn the sounds off on your phone? Otherwise, I'm going to throw it away.
So my mom would have the same thing, little kids, because she teaches the first 4 years, would come to school having had no breakfast, but they would sit and watch cartoons in the morning instead of having breakfast, right?
How can the parents not give their children breakfast? I bet the parents have breakfast. I bet the parents have breakfast and don't give any breakfast to their kids.
Probably not. They're probably, well, she said that this probably it mostly happens when the parents are disorganized, they don't get up early enough, everybody's in a hurry, they just go, come on, shoop, 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 and we're going off, right? So
what kind of environment is that?
It's not a good environment, but anyway, teachers have to deal with that.
I knew this girl in London who had 2 kids, and she lived in a flat. I don't know how to describe. She lived in a flat, and I went to visit her one day because she was a colleague from work, and with this project that we had to do, I went to visit her, and I walked into the living room, and there was a pile of dirty clothes in the middle of the living room.
Yeah.
And what she would do was when clothes were dirty, she'd just leave them in a pile on the floor. And it would get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until there was no space left for the clothes, and eventually she'd wash them somewhere. But just throwing dirty clothes just like onto the floor and leaving them, just what a nightmare. I mean, what kind of lesson is that telling to giving to kids. At least, put them in a basket or a box or have a special cupboard for them. It's unbelievable. And then connected with that was when we were looking to buy a house, we'd go and visit all these houses that were for sale, and the people in it would be living in houses that had one room finished, and they'd obviously stopped and decided not to do anything else to any of the other rooms, and everything was a mess. The lights wouldn't work. The walls would be concrete and bricks. Questionable whether there'd be water in the properties. The fences had holes in them.
You have to think about reasons
windows would
why
be dirty.
These people would sell their house, because we were looking at houses that were not, that were of a lower price range, right? And these houses are usually not sold because they are great and people want to make money selling houses, but they're usually sold because they have to sell them, right? Either because a family split up and one parent can't afford having the house by themselves, or because they started reconstructing.
That's no excuse for living. I have to say, these people were living like pigs, right? That's no excuse for living in an environment like a pig, where there's not much difference between being inside and outside. There's no excuse for it.
I don't know.
Even if someone is going through a rough time or whatever, at least they can keep their home clean and tidy.
Know. Maybe they can't. Maybe they're depressed, right?
Well, your home says a lot about you as a person, right?
Yes.
When you walk into somebody's place, you get a feeling for what their sense of value is.
Yes.
And all these places that we visited, I was just left with it's like people of no value. Okay, right. I mean, you wonder if they even had clean spoons to eat from or whatever. It was shocking. Anyway, I'm not quite sure how we got way off the parenting track onto that.
I don't know, but we always do, don't we?
We do, and it's all part of the thing.
I don't know, but then I've got mess. I don't have that kind of mess. I don't have dirt, right?
I've got mess.
But I've got mess.
You're a messy person.
I am a messy person.
No, I take that back. It's not true. Messy is not the right word. Untidy. No, wait, those are synonyms. Wait a minute. What is he talking about? They're synonyms, but I would define them differently, just because I'm not happy with the English language being the English language.
Okay.
I have to change it. So untidy is you don't have organization of things, but you do care. Messy suggests to me that someone doesn't actually care.
Can you go put it on the table, darling? Thank you. I do care. I just.
And that's what I'm saying. You care, but you don't have a system. That's what I would call untidy. Whereas messy to me just suggests the person doesn't care and is not going to change their habits. Whereas you have made what my mother would call, she's made a concerted effort to improve herself.
And a very slight progress, perhaps. Very slight.
What's up, Jazzy?
Yeah? You put it on the table? You are awesome.
Yeah, super cool. Zora, could you not bang the spoon?
I think that's the
floor,
end of
please?
yogurt, sweetie.
I think
you can have a look in the fridge. Have a look in the fridge. See if there's any more.
She's grown up so much in the last couple of weeks, hasn't she?
She has.
The language has gone. And with that, there's confidence as well in terms of communication.
Yes.
She's.
Okay, well, you can get it. Bring it here, I'll open it for you. That'll be fun.
Here comes.
That'll be fun. Oh.
Oh, there go the tomatoes rolling across the kitchen floor.
Will, can you go and help her, please? Thank you. She seems to have knocked something over somewhere. Can you go and save the day? Thank you.
Tra-la-la.
Oh, yeah.
That's the way it goes, I suppose.
Yes. Yeah?
What's the problem, Will? In the fridge.
In the fridge somewhere. It doesn't matter, Will. Anywhere.
Find a space, find a place. Just don't put them in the milk. Right. There you go. You said that if I you were talking earlier, I don't know if I can bring this up, that you were feeling a bit lightheaded.
Woozy.
Woozy.
Yes, I was.
What's
and
that?
I don't know whether it was because I don't
tiredness from work, or what's that?
It could be. It could be the lack of sleep. It could be that I haven't eaten much for lunch, maybe, or it could be that I've exercised too much this morning because I'm being all shaky slightly all day.
Do you shake after doing exercise?
Yes, totally.
When
I do strength exercise.
You're not supposed to shake all day after you do exercise.
Well, not all day. I usually only shake for about half an hour.
Zora, you're blocking your sister so she can't bring the yogurt.
Tremble. You know, when you've done
too
much.
It's the same thing.
When you've done too much strength exercise, you're like.
I don't tremble if I do too much strength. I just either feel pain or I'm invigorated.
I don't know, darling. Go and find it. I'm invigorated as well, but
you can't leave the yogurt like that.
Well, I'm not leaving it like that. I'm waiting for her to get her spoon. Okay?
Sorry.
Okay.
Right. Right. So anyway, what happened?
Nothing. Well,
Zora, take it
to the floor.
Take it and put it on the floor over there, and you can both eat it
together.
Okay. It's over there. Your sister's got it.
Super. Look, Zora has it. Share it. So, yeah, I don't know. I just felt really weak.
Do you need like more, I don't know, like iron in your diet or something like that?
Maybe I should take a bit more iron, because I'm always anemic, like by default, right? I'm anemic by default.
Not quite sure what that means, but
it means that if you took my blood at any point in time.
Like just came and took it. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
You would find out that I have anemia, right?
Right. Well, I won't do that.
I don't take any iron. So, and I'm not taking any, so I probably shouldn't. Anyway, doesn't matter.
Starting to feel like I'm in an episode of Gallivant now. Just for some strange reason, I'm not.
Don't start singing again.
I'm not. I won't. I won't.
Yes. But it doesn't matter. We're not here to talk about me and my health.
Well, it's part of parenting, isn't it? I mean, health is wealth. And it a lot of parents don't keep themselves healthy, right? And that's not a good example.
Sometimes.
Oh yeah, look, I'm not saying it's easy, right? I mean, maybe everything connected with being a parent is difficult, but
yeah, you're right. It is very
kids
important.
watching their perhaps as you get older, it's natural to get heavier, right? Mm-hmm. But there are limits, right? There are limits where you don't want your kids seeing you have certain kinds of health problems just because you didn't take regular exercise or something.
Yeah, I think it belongs to the general education. But I think that maybe parents who homeschool or who are actively involved in the education of their children understand this maybe a little bit more. That everything is a part of, basically every single part of life is a part of education. So whatever you do, you lead by example. It doesn't matter whether it's health or anything else. Relationships or dealing with conflicts or whatever. So yes, absolutely, it's important. It's also important to take care of your health. It's also important because it can influence your energy levels and it can influence your mood. So it can directly influence your parenting. Absolutely. For example, right? When you have problems with thyroid gland, right? And you don't have it checked regularly and you don't take the medicine in case you do need to take medicine, it can mean that you're going to be more tired, you're going to be slower, and you just won't be physically able to do everything that you would like to do with the kids, right? Or you will just find things overwhelming. You can even get depressed if you've got a underactive, hypoactive thyroid. So that's just an example. So yes,
yeah, physical and mental health are connected, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And
eating, food and mental health are connected.
Yes, I collect mental health. Yes. Yeah, the more you do, the more you can do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's good to focus on penguins falling from the sky in boxes. Oh no, that's happening in the background over there. Sorry.
You're right there.
Lost my.
What did you eat today?
Lost my penguins of thought there. It's all mad. It's all Madagascar, right? Actually, connecting with health, because I'm going to dive into an article that I picked up from naturalnews.com, who have a fantastic daily newsletter related to health. If you're not subscribed to naturalnews.com's daily newsletter, then get on the internet and subscribe, because
I'm not.
What?
I'm not.
You're not?
I'm not.
Where do you get your health news from?
I don't.
Me. And I get it from Natural News, so it's probably the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. So Natural News, these articles will all be posted after the session and in the comments thing, the box.
Is anybody watching us? Is anybody watching?
You can't really tell because the numbers go up and down. No one's, because we lost the momentum. So the Facebook issues broke the momentum of things. Things were taking off and beginning to fly. We're going to have to work hard to get that momentum back now. Anyway, according to National News, over 1 million children under the age of 6 are currently on psychiatric drugs.
Over 1 million children under the age of 6 are on psychiatric drugs. Where?
Yeah.
Well, like in USA or in the world, or where?
In the United States.
Okay, so what does it say? Why? What are the reasons?
Okay, well, psychiatric drug use is on the rise in the United States, with 1 out of every 6 Americans now taking some kind of medication, which might explain why they are ripping down statues and screaming and yelling at each other and showing all signs of cognitive failure, as far as I can work out. Voting for socialists who don't really care for them, and
okay, stop.
Anyway, sorry. No political. This is not a political show. I apologize. Not right. This is highly concerning, given the scary side effects and poor effectiveness of many of these drugs. Mental health watchdog group Citizens Commission on Human Rights is drawing attention to the concerning fact that 1 million kids younger than 6 are presently taking psychiatric drugs.
For what kind of diagnosis?
Okay, let's get to it. Well, half of these children are 4 to 5 years old. An incredible 274,000 of them are younger than 1 year old and on psychiatric medication. How can you diagnose a 1 year old with a psychological problem? Oh, look at that.
Well, I'm thinking.
Do you think that that's going to completely collapse?
I don't know. We'll find out. Anyway.
Because if it does completely collapse, all the mics could turn off. The whole stand and everything that it's on is just all collapsed. Right.
Yeah. What kind of diagnosis? I mean, did they mention that? Because I can imagine
You're gonna
babies.
have to talk while I fix this.
I can imagine babies taking
nothing has gone right for a week.
Psychiatric drugs if, for example, the mother has been, addicted to drugs, right? And the baby, that if a drug addict has a baby, then the babies usually have the withdrawal syndromes.
I can't believe this.
Which can be
keep talking, or I try to fix this.
Severe
everything going
physical
everywhere.
Reactions where they have like muscle spasms and stuff. And in that case, the babies have to be given certain type of drugs to counteract the withdrawal syndromes, right? So they would basically be given like a substitute drug. Okay.
So you basically, like, because I was in the middle of trying to fix this.
So there are situations when I imagine that such use of drugs would be logical, yeah, and needed.
Wait. What's logical and needed? Because I was repairing everything that fell down in the background here.
Well, I just said, for example, in situations when a child is born to a drug addict mother and has severe withdrawal syndromes, muscle spasms, and
a child is born. That's a pretty horrible situation to be in.
Yes, but there's a lot of these situations.
A lot.
Yes, of course.
There's so many women addicted to drugs having kids.
Of course.
What do you mean of course? What do you mean of course? I mean, where are these people? Obviously I'm hanging out in
obviously
the right.
Obviously, not hanging out with drug addicts.
Obviously, yeah.
But okay, if a person is addicted to
Hi
drugs.
Yanka, hi Victor. Welcome to the conversation. If you've got any questions, we're talking about drugs, and Victor appears.
I mean, you've got drug addicts, right? I'm talking about severe drug addicts. They are not going to be careful about not conceiving a child.
All they care about is their drugs, right?
Right. So, of course, women who are addicted to drugs get pregnant and have children. And, of course, these children are severely affected by this and have severe withdrawal syndromes after they're born because they're not getting the drug anymore through the blood. So they are addicted to these drugs even before they're born. So I imagine that they
everything that goes into everything that the mother takes is going into the baby as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I imagine
the vaccinations are perfectly safe.
So I imagine that such babies would be given some psychiatric drugs to counteract the withdrawal syndromes and then the health problems, the shock basically to the system.
That's all insane. I mean, wouldn't you want to just put the kids through some kind of slow cold turkey thing where
Slow cold turkey is an oxymoron. It's either slow or it's a cold turkey. Right?
Well, I said slow because it's kids. I mean, you don't want to put kids through full cold turkey.
Exactly. Well, that's what I'm talking about. Giving them these substitute drugs, and then slowly withdrawing them is going to take them off the drugs. That's the whole point, right? But I was saying that's the only situation I can imagine when a child under 1 year old could be given such drugs. I cannot imagine any other situation in which children would have to be given psychiatric drugs. If they are that young.
The biggest category of psychotic drugs, they're actually called psychotic drugs. The biggest. What kind of person takes psychotic drugs? Okay, work that one out. But the biggest category of psychotic drugs given to children appears to be anti-anxiety drugs. Now, we know that kids' anxiety is coming from their parents, right? It's not really, they're not managing the kids' anxiety, they're managing the parents' anxiety, basically. I mean, that's shocking. Just over 227,000 babies under 1 were given these medications. Experts believe these estimates are far too low and that the real numbers are actually much higher. Yeah.
Again, I can imagine children have real anxieties in case they go through some kind of traumatic experience, right?
Birth is pretty traumatic.
Yeah, they're
being surrounded by giants.
Anyway,
pretty traumatic.
But
well, everything about childhood is traumatic. I mean, you can't.
No, I'm talking about real traumatic experiences, like being separated from your mother. Or, I don't know, being left somewhere for 2 days in a forest or whatever, okay? I'm talking about real traumatic experiences, not natural traumatic experiences.
I accidentally left my children in the forest for 2 days.
So I can imagine that children can have real anxieties even at that age, but I'm not a psychotherapy person.
I tell you about that.
But I imagine that at that age, you can work with that without drugging them up, right? I mean, logically.
Did I tell you about that guy who took his kids to work with him and then went home?
Without them?
without them. And his job was to repair the antennas for like the telecommunications companies at the top of the hills. And he'd gone up to the top of the hill, and he'd like the kids had just gone off to play somewhere, and he just finished the job, jumped in the truck, and drove back. Seriously, drove back home. Gets home, and his wife's like, "Where are the kids?"
No.
Seriously.
Well, did you find them?
This was one of my this was one of my clients a couple of years ago. It's actually one of my clients.
No.
Seriously, yeah.
So what happened?
We had to go back and find his kids.
On the top of a hill.
On the top of a hill somewhere, because he'd forgotten about them.
Well, talk about traumatic experiences, right? I mean, that must have been pretty freaking traumatic.
I don't know for whom it would have been the most traumatic, the kids, him, or his wife, right? His wife thinking, I
would kill you. I would honestly probably murder you if you did that.
Right, mental note. Don't
forget the kids
do that.
Or you'll die. My God.
Right.
Can you imagine?
Psychiatric medicines affect a kid's brain chemistry.
Of course. That's how they work.
What's going on over there? Affect the child's brain chemistry and could impact their development in irreversible ways. Of course. There are, alternatively, many good coping mechanisms that can help children through problems.
Absolutely.
Such as yoga, art therapy, breathing exercise, and physical exercise. So you don't have to drug them.
Even play.
Play, yes, play, being with people, communication, games, getting outside, walking through the forest. Yes.
Getting them a pet.
Yes, getting their mind on other things, anything. Getting them a hobby, joining a club. Giving them love. Playing sport.
Giving them love can solve any problem and any anxiety in the
world. Yeah, why not? Right. So, please, guys, don't drug your kids. They've got a big enough problem dealing with your messed up world, right? I mean, our kids are going to have to clean up the world that we leave behind for them. Guys, look around. Okay. See what kind of world we're building.
I have read a very interesting article yesterday. At some point.
What was the first part of that?
I have read a very interesting article.
Did you see the kids playing outside today?
Yes.
In front of the building?
Yes.
Isn't that nice? The parents and the kids?
Yes.
Except they were playing tennis?
Yes.
On a road?
Yes. It's not a road, it's a parking lot.
They were playing tennis in a parking lot?
Yeah.
Which is like, isn't that the most ridiculous thing for two kids to play?
No.
In a parking lot?
No.
Because if like one hits the ball to the other one and there's no net and it doesn't go over the net, it just goes boing, boing, boing. It bounces and continues on. And isn't that silly? Anyway, no.
That's perfectly normal.
Badminton, I would understand because the shuttlecock can't really go too far, but playing tennis on the road?
It wasn't really tennis. They didn't hit it as hard as they can. That was just a ping.
No, I was just saying that I wouldn't do that there because it doesn't seem very practical.
There's a lot of children. They'll play anything, anywhere.
Yeah.
They don't need tennis courts for playing tennis.
I think they were playing it next to those really expensive cars as well.
Yeah.
I was waiting for something to happen. Anyway, sorry.
So I read this article today.
Okay.
And it was something like, we thought our child had ADHD. But what we were told blew our minds, right?
Oh wait, where was that?
Claire Jackson posted it.
On the yeah. I saw someone posted that, and I was thinking that looks like an interesting article. And
it was an interesting article. It was an article about the fact that some children, some aspects of their development just develops, at different rates.
Okay.
And this is basically about a child that was thought to have ADHD because he would be very restless and fidgety and all that jazz, all that stuff that makes you think of ADHD.
Like a kid being normal,
like unfocused,
basically.
yada yada yada. And they went to this doctor, psychologist, or whatever.
The doctor found that he'd swallowed.
No, and the doctor told them that some children retain reflexes from early childhood, like early childhood, like baby reflexes, right? Like, for example, the falling reflex, when you make movement like the baby's going to fall, the baby's going to grab, right? And they do this sometimes from their sleep. They kind of, do that.
Do babies have?
And it's a reflex.
Do babies have those reflexes?
Yes.
I should
babies
know that.
Babies have different types
Although
of
I don't know it
survival.
because I never really tried to drop a baby before.
They do that. Doctors do that to see if everything's working okay.
What, they drop babies?
They test the reflexes of the babies. For example, the fast movement that simulates a fall, and you see if the baby's going to use the reflex. Another reflex that children are born with is the Babinski's reflex, for example.
The what, sorry?
Babinski's reflex.
Babinski's reflex.
Yes, you give them a finger, and they grab it. You give them anything, you stimulate their palm, and they grab, right?
Yeah, and use it quite strongly as well,
yes,
right?
and these are all survival reflexes, basically, right?
Okay, got it.
Probably from time when we were little monkeys hanging on to the fur of our parents or something. I don't know where these come from.
Monkey fur.
But they are, so that the baby survives, basically.
The vines of trees. They'd be holding onto the vines of trees.
Whatever. They'll be holding onto anything, basically, so that they don't fall, right?
Swinging from Grandpa's bimbish.
Right. I'm not sure what you've been doing when you were a baby, but yeah. So.
Monkeys are wild, right? Monkeys are wild, untamed beasts.
So this article basically said that some children retain these reflexes, and they can demonstrate through this type of behavior that looks like ADHD, right? Like fidgeting and blah 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 blah. And it also said that there are certain exercises that you can do with the children to let go of the reflex. Basically.
That's crazy, because you'd go to a different doctor, and that doctor would be like, oh no, that's ADHD, take these drugs.
Yes,
right?
exactly. So so probably
lucky
a lot of
that it was a
ADHD
doctor who knew what he was talking about, basically.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's worth getting a second opinion in that kind of
situation. Absolutely. It's worth reading that article. It was interesting. I probably got a lot of things, I wish I remembered more particular information from the article, but I imagine we can post the link in the comments again if anybody is interested.
That's why you have to be prepared and organized with your notes.
No, I just remembered it.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, Claire posts a lot of interesting stuff, so.
Okay.
Check it out more often.
Moving on to our next short article.
Okay.
Wait for this one. The last one was from Natural News. This is from globalresearch.ca. It's a pretty good website. A lot of interesting social and political articles. Finland will become the first country in the world to get rid of all school subjects.
What do you mean?
Finland will become the first country in the world to get rid of all school subjects. Now, I read that, and I was thinking, God, they're almost there. They just have to get rid of the schools,
and they'll be there.
They'll be there. They'll be there. Cool. They'll have freedom to do whatever it is they want to do.
Well, like they'll have kids at school, but they won't have any subjects.
Finnish officials want to remove school subjects from the curriculum. Okay. There will no longer be any classes in physics, math, literature, history, or geography.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Well, it is good if you're studying things which are practical and have these cross-curricular themes all built in.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's the logical thing to.
It's a
logical way to study things, isn't it?
It is, but there's a certain yearning for kind of language and mathematical study, although it does need to be very practical. Anyway, let's continue with the article. Mm-hmm. There are schools that are teaching in the old-fashioned way, which was of benefit in the beginning of the 1900s, but the needs are not the same now. We need something for the 21st century.
Yes.
Interesting. Instead of individual subjects, students will study events and phenomena in an interdisciplinary format.
That's great. I love that.
I have alarm bells ringing in the back of my mind when I hear that.
Okay.
It seems all fuzzy. I'm a person who likes order and logic, right? And as much as I don't like the education system the way that it is, this is even fuzzier.
Okay, so what about
fuzzy logic?
Check out a school day, right? You've got English, then you have math, and then you have physics, right?
Okay.
So a child goes, first they read some primer, okay? They read some articles from a primer, like, I don't know, Jane has a fluffy dog, her fluffy dog is gray, everybody's happy, right? And then they move on to mathematics.
You're talking about younger kids here.
Yeah, and they go like 2 plus 2 is 4, and 3 plus 3 is 6, so like apples plus pears equals whatever.
Like you're talking about disassociation, disconnect between the subjects.
Yes,
right.
And then you have physics, and they learn that, or whatever they call it, nature studies, right? And they learn that that I don't know, that there are 4 seasons, and you have summer and spring and autumn and winter or whatever.
Which they might have observed.
Yes. And so I think it would be much more logical, right, to put it all together. First, read about the 4 seasons, right? Then work with the number 4, right? Explore the concept of time, for example, or the concept of fractions. Even,
there's right? An organic.
I mean, you have a whole, and you
let me read a bit more. I think we
okay. So I think that if you that would be my idea of the interdisciplinary kind of study.
Okay, I'm just telling you what feeling I get from. I don't get this. I got the oh yeah from the title, and then when I started reading, I started it was like a kind of drifting dreamlike curriculum. That's kind of what I had in my head. Okay. For example, the Second World War will be examined from the perspective of history, geography, and math. What you were saying.
That's great.
And by taking the course called Working in a Cafe, students will absorb a whole body of knowledge about the English language, economics, and communication skills.
Yes, that's great.
Working in a cafe, as if that's a difficult activity. Anyway, the system, and then it gets worse, right? The system will be introduced for senior students beginning at the age of 16. So everything
it's
up to
kind of pointless.
It's pointless. By 16, everything's pretty much set. So changing it after that is a bit silly. The general idea is that students ought to choose for themselves which topic or phenomena they want to study. Don't we have that anyway after the age of 16?
No.
Bearing in
not here.
No, I have it in Britain. Bearing in mind, as you get older in Britain, you study less subjects. Duh.
You choose weird subjects as well.
As you get older, everything should branch out like a tree. Yeah. It doesn't. We just kind of like a pyramid, where you just, as you get older, until you focus on just one subject. It doesn't seem to me to be practical to do that.
I don't understand Scottish system at all.
Anyway, let's get back to this. Did I finish that? The general idea is that students ought to choose for themselves which topic or phenomena they want to study, bearing in mind their ambitions for the future and their capabilities, which will already have been ingrained in the earlier education systems. In this way, no student will have to pass through an entire course on physics or chemistry after the age of 16, while at the time thinking to themselves, what do I need to know this for?
Yeah. That's a lot. That reminds me a lot of homeschooling, right? Basically a child-led education, an internal motivation thing.
Yeah. Changes are expected to be complete or to be in place by 2020. To wait 3 years. Why do you have to wait 3 years to be logical? It's like waiting 3 years to make a cup of tea or something. I mean,
there's probably a lot of paperwork involved, I imagine.
Paperwork. Who cares? Who cares? Who checks the paperwork? Who's worried about the paperwork? Who even cares about that stuff? Isn't everything digital now anyway? Oh my God. Right.
I think the mistake is to introduce it that late. It still shows a huge amount of mistrust towards children, right? I mean, you give them freedom once they're basically adults, right? I mean, you give them
late, isn't it?
You give them freedom too late. You give them freedom from the age of 16. There's also
Children used to leave school at the age of 16. Their education used to finish then.
There may also be a problem with, how the parents who had children in education and then take them out always talk about a period of time of unschooling the children, where the kids need to relax and chill out before they can find their internal motivation, because they are so programmed,
traumatized.
They are so programmed to internalize the system where they're given work they have to do, right? That they cannot immediately find their internal motivation and start working themselves.
The teachers will have to be retrained.
So I think that they might meet that problem, that kids are suddenly going to be given freedom, but they will need time to adapt to that freedom, because it's going to be like, well, you mean nobody's going to tell us what we have to do, right? So I think it's a little bit too late.
If they did it earlier, then I think it would be a more interesting experiment. Not that they should experiment or even need to experiment.
Maybe it'll go that way. I mean, it's still a positive change. It's tiny, but it's positive. I find it positive. I don't know. Maybe it won't be, but from my position of a homeschooling parent, I think the more freedom, the better. So.
Freedom.
Yeah, I don't understand Scottish school system at all. I mean, it just seems, people always talk about the courses they're taking and the credits or whatever you call it, that they're getting for it. I mean, I've always listened to this when your family came, your mom's cousin came with her children to visit, and I've always heard these, I'm taking art this year and I need more whatnot points or whatever, so I'm taking some
point system. It's like a game.
I'm taking some dance lessons with the arts, and I'm always and I'm thinking, when I used to go to school.
It was that fat girl who was doing dance. No.
When I used to go to school.
That didn't make any sense.
I would usually choose courses that were the easiest, basically, or something that didn't require too much work, because I was so schoolified.
That's a good term, schoolified.
I was so schoolified that I resented any
schoolification,
any work that I was forced to do. Right? I mean, under any pressure, you're going to meet with resentment. Put kids under pressure and you're going to meet with resentment.
Yeah, because you're going to get
That's a basic rule, right? Force them to do something and the reaction is opposition.
Force equals failure. That's the basic principle.
Yes. So that was my way of demonstrating the opposition, right? I mean, just don't go there. So I don't see how that system in Scotland can, I don't know. Maybe it does work. I don't know. It's just.
Well, the whole point is it's a system, and systems tend to be inflexible. That they tend to be very rigid in their structure, and people's growth is not a rigid process. So it's really, really hard to box people into categories and groups and labels and numbers and certificates and letters at the end of the day. And to be honest, to me, it means much more that a person's a really nice person than they got an A or a B or a C or a D or something, right?
Absolutely.
So,
not at school.
It's much more important to me that a person can present themselves well. Maybe that they I don't know, all the stuff that they don't teach you in school, like all the stuff that I don't know, right? Because I spent all my time studying the school subject.
I was thinking the other day, I was walking down the street from that večírka, and I was thinking,
the little shop.
Children are not taught psychology at school at all.
Well, parents don't
understand
much of it either.
Children don't know anything about psychology.
It's true. It's very true.
Nothing. How can you expect to learn about the world if you don't learn about yourself? If you don't understand yourself, how can you understand anything else?
Right? All religions teach you to, look inward. The answers are on the inside, right?
I don't know, actually. I don't know the answer to that. It's possible. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know.
I was just pointing out historically, like
okay.
You're right.
So I was, and then I went even further in my head, right? I was thinking, we have sex education, and I'm thinking, how can they teach children anything about sex, or how to, be responsible in relationships, if they don't teach children any psychology or anything about themselves, right? I mean, they should explain to children that they first need to know themselves so that they understand what they're looking for in a relationship, whether the relationship is healthy. They should explain to them the key and the lock principle, that people look for partners that are going to complement their own psychological problems or whatever,
All right, because I was just imagining, you said key in the lock, I just imagined two people having sex. So sorry.
No, I mean, they don't teach anything about relationships. They don't teach anything about personal, like a psychoanalysis or whatever.
They don't teach anything about.
But they explain to them how to use condoms. It's like filling up a hole in the boat with a chewing gum, right? And expecting for that to hold, right?
That pretty much describes the whole education system, basically.
And it just struck me kind of, as I was walking down the street. I was thinking, oh my God.
You didn't walk into something at that point.
Isn't this one of the things that should definitely be taught at school? Having like.
Well, that would be logical in schools.
The study
work
of
in a logical way.
The study of self rather than the sex education, right? I mean, having study things like self-confidence, of the issues that a person has.
They're scared. Schools are scared.
And where they come from, and so that the children understand what's going on with themselves, right? So that they understand why they're angry, emotional education.
Well, there's an argument for the fact that that's happening, but it's all happening in the wrong way. I mean, they say, okay, yes, that's a fantastic idea, let's do that, and we'll teach gender studies to 5-year-olds. Right? Right? I mean, that's how it happens, yeah. And it all goes horribly wrong.
They're scratching the surface, right? I mean, they're sliding on the surface. And they pretend that they're addressing pressing issues, but they're not addressing the causes of these issues. I mean, there would be no teenage pregnancies if the kids understood why they're acting the way they're acting, or why do they desperately need some intimate physical relationship. What's missing in their lives?
That was a very, very comprehensive overview of the way that it is.
And that it doesn't work, yes.
It doesn't work, yeah. I think that, in my mind, it seems to me that the students, the pupils, they're instructed as if they have functions to perform and are not human beings. You know, this is what you have to do. Go and do it.
Yes.
And there's very little understanding of human relationships, sadly, because most people don't understand a lot about human relationships, and those who do want to keep the information to themselves and use it to their own advantage. They don't want to share it
like
with
the
others.
Marketers.
Oh yeah, that's one part of it. Yeah, that's you know, the whole sociology and psychology of the propaganda, the Edward Bernays principles, the you know, the Pavlovian training of society. It's all about each person has a function. It's all about training people to perform those functions, and not giving them much more. And it's frustrating that parents don't see that. The parents think, okay, kids are off to school. We're putting them in the right direction. We're giving them they'll get the knowledge that they need. But it's so random. It's like it's just like opening a cupboard and throwing in your clothes and expecting them to land all folded, right? I mean, it just doesn't happen.
Also, it's this confidence issue. Like, I think that, for example, the grades, the marks that you get at school, it's all about confidence. It's all about, we need to measure the results because we don't trust that these kids are going to learn anything, right? And the things that I talked about that are so much more important to learn.
That's a great point.
Are not measurable.
Measurement. Oh, well, that's a great topic that we have to cover. Things that not measured in school.
Yeah.
But
so they focus on things they can measure and grade, so that they satisfy the parents, because the parents are not confident in the fact that the children are learning anything, right? So they need to see something. They need to see a measurable result. And
what does a parent?
The important things are not measurable.
Yeah. What does a parent? What does a parent think when, you know, the report about their child is physics B, chemistry C, social studies A+. I mean, what is that? I mean, what does that tell you about the kid? I mean, the kid could be a, you know, psycho next dictator in the making, right? I mean, it doesn't
tell anything.
There's nothing about virtue and value and morality there.
Can you imagine that you didn't have to deal with this shit? I mean, can you imagine that you didn't have to, you know how when you grow up and you have kids and we talked about this last time, right? You get an adult, right? You become an adult and you have kids and they show you the mirror, and then you have to start dealing with your own past, and you have to start facing your own demons and looking inside.
Welcome to my world.
Yes. Well, I think all mindful parents, you know, kind of have to do the same thing. But can you imagine that they introduce you to this at school or at a young age? Can you imagine that you were mindful from a very young age of your own emotions, of what's happening, of why it's happening, that you'd understand your motivations and your triggers and everything?
I've wasted 20 years of my life wondering why things are the way they are.
Yeah. I mean, wouldn't that be great? You would be like a whole person, basically, once, you know, you become an adult.
From the start.
And you would understand yourself, and you would be able to address everything else much more composed. You'd basically understand everything better because you understand what's going on in yourself. Right?
Absolutely.
And there's so many adults that have no idea, don't even know that they have no idea. And there are so many parents that do know they have no idea and try to deal with it. And there's so many psychotherapists that have a lot of patience because people are trying to deal with these things. Imagine that you were educated from the beginning about how things work, and that would just be super cool.
You're on fire. You're on fire this evening. I don't need to say anything. I just need to boom, right? I don't need to. I just need to sit here and go. Yep, yep, yep. That's right. That's right. Absolutely, I agree. Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah.
Wow, wow. Now that we've changed the system of our of our presentation,
yeah.
We still don't know if it's going to work. We'll find out. But we get two kind of cool things, right? We get three because we get stuff just falling down.
I'm not looking into the camera today at all. I'm not connecting with the audience. Hi guys.
That's okay. They're probably not looking at you.
I'm just looking at you.
Right. Good. And so you should be.
Of course, because you're beautiful.
Yeah, that handsome hunk of man meat that I.
Handsome hunk of man meat. Is that what you said? Or is that just in my head?
That's what I said. Right, anyway.
That's him.
That's raised the temperature.
That's my man.
So, we've got, we're doing live, live time and everything, right? So you get all the stuff behind the scenes and in front of the scenes and around the corner as well.
Yeah.
So we got these bars, so we can actually see the level of our volume when we're
finally, we've got our own salad bar.
We've created our own bar.
Yeah, well done, you.
I didn't even know I'd done that. How cool! How cool am I?
That's because Facebook
I'm so cool. I don't even know how cool I am. That's how cool I am.
You're very cool. Thank you very much.
We also have cool. and under the salad bar.
Is that like a Coca-Cola logo? What is that? No, I don't have my glasses on.
It's a clock.
Oh, it's a clock.
It's a clock, so it actually tells us how long we've been presenting for.
It's like a red circle clock, so it really looks like Coca-Cola. What does it say?
It says 106, 107, okay. 107. So I was thinking that we should, as long as we're not like blowing the lid on some super topic, we should
Which we just did.
We should round off kind of after an hour, and then sort of aim to do like an hour.
Yeah, because an hour and a half is a bit too much.
It's good fun. Right, it's good fun.
I could do this forever. I mean, I could do this for the whole day.
I'm not sure that people could.
Just give me a glass of juice, and I'm just gonna keep talking. I should be a politician or something.
No.
What people have to keep talking all the time? Teachers. Or an entertainer, but I'm not very funny.
She is over there. Right. Okay, sweet. So, organizational stuff kind of over, right? I was going to get into a Jim Rohn article, but I'll save that for another day about the 5 people you spend most time with. We might get that.
I stole your floor.
No, it's pretty cool. I didn't even get into the free mail that we put out today. The free email. Check out the Facebook page. You can link on it. You can click on it, link to it, you can subscribe, and you get motivational, educational information into your inbox for free every day. I think we had a pretty cool mail today that dealt with apparent contradictions that exist and things that we don't.
I didn't get to my question.
That's great, because we can do it tomorrow.
Yeah,
because we would be here all night otherwise. So it's. It's Gian Yanka saying, thank you very much for listening. This is Practical Parenting. If there's a topic that you'd like us to cover, we will do our very best to do that for you. Leave the question in the comments under the video if you find this on Facebook, or if you find this on YouTube at a later date. If you find this on YouTube, you might get a video together with the audio if Facebook want us to continue. We'll see what happens with all the tech stuff. And keep in touch, keep in contact with us, and we'll be back with another presentation very, very soon. So
hopefully tomorrow. Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
If nothing happens, if nobody has a migraine, and everybody's still alive.
Yeah, the sky doesn't fall, but you never know what's going to happen around here. So, so that's cool. There's lots of things that we'd like to talk about. There's lots of things that we'd like to present, and we want to connect with people who are out there, who are parents, who have experience, and who want to share their information with us as well. So please.
And who are not afraid to work on their parenting skills.
Yeah, it's a job that's never finished, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, so we all need to work on it, and that's kind of about it, really. There's the www.nsa-slovakia.com. There's the Academy of Language Therapy and Life Coaching on YouTube. There's a Facebook page for that as well. I'm also on Pinterest as Hendrey, and your website is?
My website is 21 Century Mum, spelled with U.
Is not 21st century. 21st century.
I don't have the ST there. It's
just it's just 21.
Number 21 and
21.
then centurymum.com.
21 Century Mum.
Yes.
Kind of rolls off the tongue.
And it's the same for my Facebook group. So if you're interested in joining my Facebook group, just join it.
Well, there you go. A call to action.
Yes.
There should be no presentation without a call to action, definitely.
There's
a bit of business marketing for you. Right, I'm going to stretch out, hit the finish button, and say bye for now. Speak to you soon.
Bye, and watch us again.
And I turn this one off, and I come down here, and I hit the other one.
Hit it.